We'll be making 3 dishes and 1 bonus, Dragon Birria Taco. You could try to make this all in one day, but I did this over several because I'm lazy. Starting with the dragon steak, looking back, in the anime they definitely made beef roast, but my cavewoman brain was like, oh, block of meat equals steak, so that's what we're making, okay? Here, we have our fresh Costco dragon ribeyes. Salt and pepper the steaks on all sides. I swear the amount I'm using looks pathetic on screen, but do as I say and not as I do. Then you want to let the steak rest for a couple of hours. I got tired here, so I left mine in the fridge overnight, but I made sure to wrap them up real good. When you're ready to cook, let the steaks thaw for 30 to 45 minutes. We're gonna be reverse searing the steaks. If you have a probe thermometer, preheat your oven to 250 Fahrenheit and then bake until the internal temperature of the steak is at 125 Fahrenheit. If you don't have one, preheat the oven to 125 Fahrenheit and then bake for 45 minutes. In a hot cast iron, add cold oil and proceed to almost burn your house down. Just kidding. Don't actually ever do this, and in the case of a grease fire, suffocating the flames with a lid or a plate is ideal. After we scared the shit out of our dog and ventilated the whole house, it was time for attempt number 2. In the frying pan, add 1 tablespoon of neutral oil and heat it on high. Once the pan is hot, add your steak and cook on one side until a nice brown crust forms. This should take 2 minutes or so. Flip and repeat for the other side. I was gonna make a wine reduction sauce to go with the steak, but forgive me, we're so tired after all this chaos. I will be including it in the written recipe though, so if you want to check that out. The steak came out so juicy and tender with minimal gray bending. Chef's kiss. Steak is even better the next day. We like to have them pre-cut and ready to be warm and eaten with a bowl of furikake seasoned rice. So good. Up next, we have cheese and onion pizza. Based on the anime, this is just pizza, nothing crazy. Toppings are super simple, onion and cheese. To start, place a large mixing bowl on a weighing scale and add exactly 200 grams of lukewarm water. Not hot, not cold, lukewarm. If cooking is all about the heart, baking is all about the science. Add 2 grams of yeast, add 4 grams of olive oil, extra virgin if that's more relatable, and then give it a quick stir with your finger. If you didn't wash your hands before this, well, you're the one eating your pizza, so you do you. Moving on with the flour, you can either use 150 grams of 00 flour, which is pizza flour, and 150 grams of all-purpose flour, or just use 300 grams of bread flour. Add 10 grams of salt. Set some flour aside, you'll see. Combine everything with your hands. I know you'll be so mad at me for this because this dough is very sticky. It even pisses me off when I use it. If it feels like you never get the dough off your hands, just add a little bit of flour and you should be able to escape. When the mixture is well combined, cover the bowl with a kitchen towel and let rest for 15 minutes. While waiting, you can do whatever, but I'm gonna watch. And we're back. On any clean surface, sprinkle some flour and transfer your wet lump over. Flour your hands and feet to prepare kneading the dough. If you don't know how, grab one end of the dough and pull it towards the other end. Push down with your palm towards the center and rotate while doing this. You know it's good when you're like, wow, that looks fucking good. Take a scraper or any tool that you can find in your kitchen to split the dough into as many pizzas as you want. I'm doing 4 mini pizzas. They're obviously not round anymore. To fix this, there are 2 methods. 1, pull one end towards the center while rotating to form an asshole. 2, drag the dough on the flour surface towards you while rotating to form an asshole. When the balls are ready, we're going to refrigerate them overnight. Line a tall tray or bowls with parchment. Trust me bro, don't use a plate or a flat tray. I almost cried. Sprinkle some flour on the bottom of the tray and gently transfer your balls. Cover the container in cling wrap and store overnight. 30 to 45 minutes before baking, take the dough from the fridge to thaw before working on them. Preheat the oven to 550 Fahrenheit or as hot as your oven will go. And yes, I'm baking the pizza at 10:15 p.m. on a weekday. Preheat your pizza stone or baking tray for 30 minutes minutes at least to get an even bake. While waiting, we'll prep the pizza toppings. I'm only baking 2 mini pizzas, so I don't need a lot. Adjust the portions to your pizza sizes. For cheese, I'm using this very wet mozzarella because it's all I have. I try to pat them as dry as I can so that we don't get a soggy ass pizza. Once the pizza dough is thawed, sprinkle some flour around the balls so they can remove them easily. Gently scrape the balls off and transfer onto your floured surface. I'm using the same board. Powder just the dough's butt, and with the top facing you, start using your hands to form a pizza shape with it. I'm going for a 6-inch pizza here. You can use your fist to stretch it out quickly like this. When you're at the desired size, form a rim around the edges, and this will make the crust that nobody eats except for me. Transfer the pizza onto a small piece of parchment. Microwave a tablespoon of butter with minced garlic. We'll be using this as a base for the pizza. No red sauce today since it's not canon looking. Throw your toppings on and repeat all the steps for however many pizzas you're baking. When you're ready to go, bake them in the oven for 9 to 15 minutes. Basically, take it out when the bake is at a doneness to your liking. And there we have it, cheese and onion pizza. Ooh yes, that's the sound of a really good crust. This came out so good. Eat it right away because fresh baked goods get like a 5 times multiplier, so it tastes really good even if you have no skills like me. It's good. And it tastes really amazing with steak too. On to the next recipe, dragon soup. In Dungeon Meshi, it looks like they used dragon tail turnips and onions. This reminded me of a Korean soup called sokuritang, which translates to oxtail soup, so I took inspiration from that and made a simplified version, in quotes. To start, I made sure to rinse my Costco dragon tails well to remove bone and blood fragments. I know this is a lot of oxtail. We'll be using most of them in the bonus recipe. With oxtail, there's usually a large amount of fat surrounding the red meat. You want to remove most of this or else you end up with a very fatty broth. In a small pot, add some water and bring it to a boil. The amount doesn't matter too much. In the meantime, take out your radish, and for one oxtail, I like to use about a palm-sized amount of radish. Cut it into whatever shape you like, cubes, hexagon, phallic shapes, etc. Thinly slice 1/4 of an onion and mince 1 clove of garlic. When your pot of water boils, add your dragon tail and boil for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, dump out the water and rinse the oxtail well. You'll also want to clean your small pot and then return it to medium-high heat on the stove. Add beef bone broth, not just like regular broth. We're using only 1 oxtail, so we need all the help that we can get for the broth to have more depth. Add in your onion, garlic, radish, and oxtail. Cover it, and once boiling, reduce to a simmer and cook until the meat is soft. Oxtail meat is super tough, so I usually just forget about it and leave it to simmer away for at least 2 hours, adding more stock as needed. Serve with green onions and we're done. Time to give it a taste. The meat is so succulent and incredibly soft after all that cooking, and goes so well with tart kimchi and hot rice. This is the type of food that I tend to crave, so I'll definitely be making this again. For the final bonus recipe, we'll be making dragon birria taco. I thought this would be a good alternative for those who either hate radish or want an entirely different dish. To start, we have to peel and mince 10 cloves of garlic. Give them a really good smash to release the flavors. Set aside when you're done with them. I hope you like chili because we have 3 different kinds here. Honestly, none of them are super spicy, and I'm saying that as someone with low spice tolerance. Remove the stems and seed for all of them as they will become bitter when cooked down. Just make sure not to touch your eyes during this or even after the process. Don't ask me how I know. In a large pot on medium heat, heat up 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil and add 1 large quarter onion. Stir fry until translucent and set them aside. Toast the chilies and 3 bay leaves for 1 minute, and then add the onion back in. Add 1 can of 28-ounce peeled tomatoes. Add the rest of the minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of oregano, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of peppercorn, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cinnamon stick, 1 tablespoon minced ginger. Stir and cook on medium-high for 5 minutes. Transfer everything to a blender and blend until that marinade is smoother than you with your crush. Allow steam to escape by having the lid of the blender loosely on. If you use a blender that screws shut, burp it every few seconds to release the steam buildup. Back to the pot. Add your oxtail and marinade along with enough water to cover all the meat. Stir to combine well and simmer for at least 3 hours. My ADHD ass started this at like 8 p.m. so by the time this was done, it was already 11. The nice part about this though is the next day I could extract the top layer of oil that has solidified easily before reheating. We want to keep this for later. Take out the softened oxtail meat and debone. The meat should just slide off the bone now. Finally, we're ready to make the taco. In a frying pan, heat on medium without adding any oil. Remember the fat we saved earlier? We're gonna use this to grease up the tortilla on both sides. This is basically liquid gold and a heart attack all in one package that makes the taco shell so delicious. Drop the tortilla into the hot pan and fry for 3 minutes before flipping. Add your cheese of choice on top. If using high moisture cheese like mozzarella, you might need to flip it once more for like 5 seconds to melt the cheese and then flip back again. Add the birria meat on one half of the tortilla and fold the taco in half. Transfer to a plate with a small bowl of consomme and there you have it, Dragon Birria. Dip your taco in the consomme and take a big ass bite. The tortilla just straight up shatters in your mouth, releasing all that gooey cheese and rich flavors. Another way that I like to eat this is to combine the consomme, birria meat, and the beef bone broth, which produces a flavor that reminds me of Chinese style braised beef noodle soup if you ever had that. I also made pickled radish with the rest of the radish I had, and this was a bomb ass meal, I gotta say. Highly recommend. And there you have it, the entire dragon feast. I have now more than enough food for the whole week after all this cooking and I'm so tired. If you like this video, why don't you go check out the previous one I made for the huge scorpion and walking mushroom hot pot. Thanks for watching!